you guys. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us with our ongoing coverage on Hurricane Isaias. My name is Leslie Hudson. I am the chief meteorologist here at My Radar. I am joined by the birthday boy, Damian McFarland, who's punching all the controls, doing the magic for us with the videos, and you'll be seeing his magic here in just a second. But we also have meteorologist Stephanie Lauber in the house. She will be doing live coverage as well this afternoon and tonight. But of course, we want to get you updated what's going on. Expecting a new path from the National Hurricane Center in about 2 hours. We've shown some video on our social media pages of the damage out of the Bahamas. You may have seen it. If not, check it out. There's a really good video. We have some we're going to show you here as well. But what you see here is a live camera over in Delray Beach, Florida. That's just in South Florida, and looking squally there for sure. It's still going to be later tonight before Isaias gets closer to the Florida coastline. But I got to tell you, things are looking better at this point for Florida if everything stays on course and stays on forecast. Now remember, when we're talking about a landfalling hurricane or a potentially close call like this, just a subtle change by 5 miles or so can really change the impacts of this system. So I want you to remember that as we go over all these graphics and look at everything, because it looks better today for the state of Florida than it did yesterday. But remember, just a slight nuance. If the path deviates just a little bit, that's going to be a difference of a pretty big impact for the state of Florida. So I know folks have been getting ready. I know folks have been gassing up their cars. A lot of folks already have their kits in place because of the pandemic. So that's a good thing. I know folks have been boarding up across many parts of the east coast of Florida. Most of the Florida coastline on the east side, by the way, has some type of warning or watch with it, which we're going to get to all of that as well. But let me show you some of that video that's out of the Bahamas. Damian, if you want to show that. This is courtesy of ZNS TV and our partner Wayne Neely, who's one of the chief meteorologists in the Bahamas. You can see this was from late yesterday. The winds there, for the most part, this actually might be from this morning. I'm not exactly sure when this video was taken, so I apologize. But it may have been from late yesterday or this morning. But this was over in Long Island. They are reporting down trees and power lines there. I've spoken to Wayne, someone that is the meteorologist that lives in Nassau. There has been no deaths reported. There has been no injuries reported in the Bahamas, which is great news. Here's some more video again, the rough winds, and there has been a lot of rain in the Bahamas. They're currently you've got a hurricane getting as close as it did to these islands. But for the most part, the Bahamas have been very well. The pictures that you also, there's definitely been flooding conditions. Here's one more video again out of Long Island. There's a look at some of the flooding conditions when they got that storm surge, which probably was right around 4 feet. That looks like this is post surge, so this looks like that's in the estimate of 3 to 4. Some big trees, of course, toppling down, but nowhere near the impacts, of course, that Hurricane Dorian brought just a year ago to these islands, and in particular Abaco and Grand Bahama. So here's a look at again on Long Island, the central Bahamas, and you can see again flooding conditions. Pretty typical. This is likely from this morning, of course. And then we've got a couple more photos here, and then we'll take a look what's going on with the visible. But again, some of the standing water has been anywhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 2 feet. Things are doing relatively well there when I talked to Wayne within this last hour. And by the way, he may call us. And if he does, we're going to take this live broadcast down and then get him on the camera and on the phone, because we'd love to hear what he has to say. Okay, let's go back to, let me show the app, Damian. Let's go to that, because I really wanted to show everybody how clearly you can track Isaias through the wind layer, which is a free feature on the My Radar app. So there it is, and I'm going to actually, through the magic of what Apple TV, we're going to show you the center there, so you can see it right there. It came right off of Andros within these last 90 minutes or so, maybe 2 hours. Well defined, but notice again a lot of the rain displaced to the east and to the north, so we're not seeing a well-organized hurricane. Not unusual when it's just come over land, but now that it's completely off the island, it's got all of this time here before it's going to get closer to Florida to regenerate. However, it does not look terrific on visible satellite imagery in terms of organization or infrared, so that is good news, of course, for the state of Florida. We definitely don't want it to get organized, but the thinking is that it will have an opportunity to do that as we head into today and before it really starts to impact Florida tonight. and into tomorrow. I apologize. I'm turning around here because I want to try and take a look at some of the comments that are going to be coming up so I can kind of answer them. So give me 1 second here, you guys, while I get my chat open here. Doesn't look like it wants to play ball with me. But anyways, I will try and look at some of these. What I can see, I can't see the full chat, but let me go to WSI and we'll take that system because there is a lot of details in the visible satellite imagery this afternoon that can kind of tell us what's been going on. So as we take a look at this, and Damien, if you don't mind taking it full screen, because I'm going to kind of get into some specifics here. So here's a look at the visible satellite. This is from the last 6 hours, and you'll notice the center that we just saw on the app re-emerge and again within this last 1 to 2 hours. But a classic and a well-defined strengthening hurricane would see, here's the northeastern quadrant. We would see that wrapping all the way around. There's the eye, if you will, this ill-defined eye, but we would see a really bright whiteness, and we do see some here, but we don't see it going all the way around the center. So we're definitely seeing a less organized hurricane today than we did yesterday, where it really had a big flare-up of storms, and it looked pretty impressive on the infrared and on the visible. But of course, that's better news for the state of Florida. Not what we want to see, you know, a strengthening hurricane by any means. So we'll take what we can get, and hopefully it'll stay like this. But the official forecast, by the way, does call for some gradual strengthening before it directly impacts the state of Florida. So the other feature that's pretty interesting to note is that we're getting some of those tropical bands already across the southern part of the state. You can see those there, and then on the northwestern Bahamas as well. So when those squalls and those outer rain bands start to interact with Florida, there will be some tropical downpours. We already saw that live camera in Delray Beach that looked, you know, pretty squally. That is definitely going to be the case as we head into today, and then conditions only going to deteriorate as we head through tonight, through the overnight while people are sleeping, and then tomorrow again. These next 12 to 18 hours will be the closest point that Florida will be dealing with Isaias, and then of course after that we will be talking about this hurricane, or the lack thereof, a tropical cyclone of some point, or a hybrid, or even a post-tropical cyclone for the next 5 days. This is expected to not only affect Florida, but all up the Atlantic seaboard, the Carolinas, the Southeast, the Delmarva, the Northeast. Everybody along the Atlantic seaboard is expected to get some piece of Isaias over the next 5 days. So that doesn't happen all that often. And thankfully, this is not a well-organized, super strong hurricane that could really be creating a lot of damage. It is a hurricane, so it's certainly a serious weather scenario here, but the conditions, I think, are going to improve as, of course, we get in time and it interacts with the U.S. for multiple days at a time. Okay, so here's the European model. You may hear modeling numbers and acronyms tossed around a lot when there's a landfalling hurricane. We talk about, a lot of folks you'll hear talk about the Euro or the European model or the GFS. Those two are really good benchmarks, long-standing, accurate models that do a decent job, a very good job in some cases, Euro a little bit more accurate than the GFS, on how these systems will interact with US. So I've got my little pointer there, and watch as we head in time, and look how it parallels the coast, but then gets very close to Cape Canaveral or Brevard, the Space Coast, Brevard County. On this model run, it potentially could do a glancing blow there. I'm not buying this scenario so much, but this is, again, the Euro model, and the possibility is there, and then re-emerging back out into the Atlantic, making a secondary impact across the Carolinas, and then getting back over water, and then up into the Northeast. That's just one guidance. Remember, that's guidance model. And actually, if you'll keep that full screen, Damien, I'm going to switch real quickly here to the GFS. So it'll take me a second to switch the product over, and then we'll take a look at the GFS and see what it looks like. It keeps it actually a little bit further offshore than the Euro does, but it's interesting. I think it's really fascinating to watch these the difference in these models and see how they all play out. So here is the GFS. So as I put this in time, again, I did a good job in terms of how it interacted with the Bahamas, and then again, there's a lot of model split here as we get closer to the state of Florida. This kind of parallels the coast a little bit more, staying maybe just a skosh off coast. That's why I'm talking about these nuances nuances that we get a lot of questions. Okay, what's it going to be like in, Fort Lauderdale? What's it going to be like in Brevard County? What's it going to be like in Daytona Beach? It's very difficult to give you nuances when we're talking about a path that's this close to the U.S. because just a few miles of a deviation really changes the impacts that you'll see. So you need to prepare for the worst. We always say that. It sounds like a broken record, but it's really true. You need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So I have updated this product based on what I'm seeing today from the model features. Stay tuned. This may change, but as of 3 o'clock, heads straight up Eastern time, this is what I'm thinking. So the yellow areas, the areas shaded in yellow, I think we'll get winds around 30 to 40 miles an hour in the peninsula within these next 24 hours. And then as you head further towards the south in South Florida, 40 to 70. These are not going to be all night tonight and all day tomorrow. I think this will be in squalls, especially as the hurricane approaches. Some of the gusts are likely to be higher. You can tack on anywhere a good safe estimate for a gust is probably 10 to 15 above this range. So a gust around 80 to 90 through Palm Beach County, maybe a little bit of extreme eastern Broward County. I think Miami-Dade's going to do okay in terms of the worst of the winds at this point, because I think it's going to come in north of you and you'll be on the south side or the weaker side of the hurricane. And then I do think that there will be some opportunity for a little bit more wind for Indian River and Brevard counties as we head into the day tomorrow. There we go. So as we head into the day tomorrow, I think that's where we could get these winds 55 to 70. And then I've got the wind radar product I'm going to show you as well. So this is as of today. Remember, we're talking about real slight nuances in the forecast. So a lot of things can change. But notice yesterday, this infrared imagery is from the last 24 hours. And notice how yesterday it looked so bright red and those blacks, which are really cold cloud tops, central dense overcast, we call it. And then as we do these last couple of frames, a lot of that goes away. A lot of the reds and the oranges kind of disappear, and it just doesn't look that well organized. So when you look at this, it can be deceiving, and you can say, this thing is nothing, I don't need to worry about it. But you have to remember, it's still got about 70 miles, 80 miles or so that is going to be over the Gulf Stream, which is the warmest water here in the Atlantic Basin. So it really does have a little bit of opportunity here to try and balloon back up. That's also not unusual to see a tropical cyclone kind of pulsate. So don't write this off yet. Don't look at this and say, we're done. I knew this wasn't going to be anything, because you really do have to prepare for the worst, as I mentioned. And remember, there's this secondary burst here that's probably not even going to affect the U.S., but this secondary burst of convection that's displaced from the center, the actual hurricane over in here, and we've got this little displacement of convection that still could indirectly impact the U.S. I think it's going to be more this primary cluster, but we'll see. So when we're talking about, again, these slight nuances in the forecast where just a few miles can really make a difference, you've really got to keep your head up here and keep the eye on the path through the next 24 hours. And then, of course, it's going to be the southeastern's next headache and up into the mid-Atlantic after that. So here's the next 5 days, again, getting very close to Florida tonight, tomorrow, near northeastern Jacksonville by Monday at 8 a.m., and then after that, of course, it starts to accelerate even quicker. So look at this, by Wednesday and Thursday of this up and coming week, it's already up in the Maritimes. So it is expected to rapidly accelerate. That's good. Of course, the less time it interacts with the U.S., the better. But look how much geography we're talking about. Just about the entire state of Florida will get some impact of this. The Keys, I think, are going to be okay. And then up the entire seaboard up into the New England states, I think we'll get a little piece of this. How much you get is still up for debate, but not a typical scenario that we see often, where so many states and so many people will be impacted by one system itself. So what is a Category 1 hurricane? So what you can expect, again, around the core eye, the core, the center, the eye, sustained winds of 74 to 95 miles an hour. Some minor damage. You got to remember, most buildings are up to code that can handle a Category 1 easily, especially in Florida. It was required after Hurricane Andrew in South Florida, and then many other areas in the country, many other areas in the state of Florida followed suit, that buildings had to withstand Category 3 winds. So of all the states that deal with hurricanes, Florida probably one of the better prepared, if not the best, because Florida actually gets more hurricanes than anybody. But some minor damage is expected. Power outages that could last for days. That I am anticipating. I'm not sure that will go days. It depends on, again, how close Isaias gets to Florida. I think we'll certainly see some short-lived power power outages. Here's a look at the 3D tropical infrared imagery. Now, I like to show this because this shows a real good snapshot of those higher cloud tops. So let me point some of that out. So some of the outflow, again, coming up in here, you can see some of the texturing of these clouds. Here's some more of that outflow. Here's our primary cluster of thunderstorms, not well organized, but some of these are really tall. These right in here are really, really tall. And you know, I do think there's going to be some opportunity for this to get a little bit better organized before all is said and done. So we'll see how that all plays out, because I do think that the possibility is there for this to, certainly if it doesn't get stronger, maybe it only gets stronger by like another 5 miles an hour or so. I do think it has another opportunity to get a little vertically more stacked. And I will say the hurricane hunters that were in it this morning did say that the mid-levels of this storm, believe it or not, look relatively good. So I'm not writing this puppy off. So I want you guys to not write it off either. I want you to make sure that you are staying aware and that you're ready to roll, if you've got to do something quickly. Okay, so this product is a really great feature that the National Hurricane Center puts out. It's called the Wind Radar product. So you can see our legend, the center there, the 74 mile per hour winds. Notice how it's not looks like a donut. In a well-organized, healthy, mature hurricane, you would see like what looks like a donut ring of those 74 mile per hour winds. Hurricane Center, as of 11 a.m., thinks that there's only going to be that north, or that semicircle, about half of the actual eye, which is about 22 nautical miles, so that's about 25 miles across, I believe. So they're only expecting half of those winds to reach that threshold of above 74 miles an hour. And on the northeast side, east side, which will not be a player for Florida. And then those 57 to 73 is that area shaded in orange. And then the big yellow disc is 39 to 57. But remember, west side, weaker side, less impacts, and it exponentially decreases in wind as you get further away from the center. So here is, tonight at 12, or overnight 12:30 a.m., 12:30 a.m. And look how it totally misses Broward, totally misses Miami-Dade, misses the Keys, starts to impact Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie, Indian River counties. But again, all those core winds, the really bad winds, the high winds, are way over here. So these winds are only going to be, I say only, but they're going to be around 39 to 57. So this particular scenario, as of the 11A run, we'll have another update at 5, looks a lot better for the state of Florida. But remember, as I keep saying, beating this drum, just a slight change is going to be a big difference for everybody. So you got to stick around, stay tuned to the forecast, because slight deviations will be a big game changer for everybody. And then as we head into tomorrow night, look at that again, a much better scenario for Metro Orlando, down into Polk County. Over in Brevard, could see these winds around 57 to 73, and just maybe a glance here with some of those hurricane force winds. Again, this is model data from the Hurricane Center. This is not set in stone. When we're trying to forecast these things and they're so close to land and there's such a close call, it's very, very difficult to nail down specific cities and specific impacts. That's why I gave you that range of wind in that graphic I showed you a couple of minutes ago. So remember that. But again, this particular product from the NHC looking much better. And we'll show that up. Tomorrow we'll start showing that up across the southeastern U.S. I just wanted to show Florida today because that's the state we're dealing with today. Tomorrow it'll be Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. Monday it'll be the Delmarva. Tuesday, Wednesday it'll be the Northeast. So we'll move these maps just so you know, because a lot of people are asking what's happening next. But let's focus in on Florida first, since that's the first state that's got to deal with this, and then we'll take a look at the other states. So this is the Hurricane Hunter aircraft. This was the latest mission that they did. I've got the data in here. This particular pass, they had winds at 62. Again, the official sustained winds are higher than that. It depends on where they are in the hurricane when they take that cross section of wind. And the pressure was 985, by the way. So I just like to show you this because they're flying recon missions here about every 3 hours or so. It's a great way to show the real live data that they're gathering. This mission, I think, was within the last 1 to 2 hours. I'd have to double check, but it's the latest one that I have available to me. But again, it shows how they take that flight that just takes these huge cross sections all through the storm. They come in from the south, or come in from the northwest, and they do a cross section, come in from the east, go down towards the south. So they do this big cross section and take samplings of the atmosphere in all 4 quadrants, and then they drop these big cylinders that are called dropsondes down a big chute that comes out of these hurricane hunter planes, goes down, takes samplings through the atmosphere as it falls down to the surface of the ocean, and then it spits all back into a computer into several supercomputers that the Hurricane Center uses for data. It's really, really cool stuff, and it's the technology that is at our fingertips to forecast these things is just amazing. So here's a look at the updated information from the Hurricane Center. They changed the watches and warnings just slightly this morning, so you can still see a big chunk of eastern central Florida under the hurricane warning. To the north and the south is tropical storm warnings, and then there's a little bit of a hurricane watch there just south of Palm Beach into Broward County, and then extended today. This is that new area that's under the tropical storm watch. That's that extreme part of northeastern Florida, which is going to extend northward as we head into probably the 5 o'clock update. That's going to go into Georgia. It goes into Georgia now, but probably going to go into all of Georgia, maybe even the Carolinas. They'll extend that northward as we get in time, giving folks in those areas of the country 36 to 48 hours to get ready. There's a look at the tropical storm warnings. The area is shaded in orange. And again, a big chunk of the state, at least on the east and central side, going to have some impacts. Again, on the current thinking today, I think the impacts are looking better for the state if Isaias does what it's supposed to do, and hurricanes are unpredictable. Everybody knows that. So again, don't take this to the bank, but I will say things are looking better today than they did yesterday. Storm surge watch is up for this area shaded in that light pink. So primarily, we're talking about a 2-foot storm surge from Jupiter up into Ponte Vedra. South of that, down to Broward, about 1 to 3 feet, I think is a reasonable bet. That does come in before Isaias, so you're probably already seeing a rise in, well, maybe not now, but it's certainly in the next couple of hours, I would think you'll start to see a rise, and that surge will start to come in. And 2 to 4 feet may not sound like a lot, you guys, but that is enough to lift cars and potentially be a life-threatening situation. So if you are told to evacuate, and a lot of those have been mandatory evacuations, but involuntary, not mandatory, I apologize, involuntary evacuations. But if a mandatory evacuation is issued where you live, you really need to pay attention, because again, even though 2 to 4 feet, you think, oh, I can walk through that easily. Well, not necessarily. Not if it comes in with the tide, and it's not only a storm surge, but it's a storm tide, and then you have wind on top of that. So the emergency managers and the city officials that issue the evacuations really know what they're doing, and you really need to listen to your local officials and heed what they tell you to do. Here's a look at the computer modeling, and you can see as again, a big bulk of the heavier winds on this model. This is, again, not exactly how it's going to happen, you guys. This is a forecast. This is a model depiction of how things will play out, but notice how a lot of those higher winds, again, staying offshore, some of the outer periphery feeder bands, tropical bands coming in across the state, even Tampa getting in on the action. And when you get these winds, they'll be quick, and the storms will be quick, and then they'll go away just as quickly as they arrived. But I do think at least through most of tomorrow, the state of Florida will be dealing with this system. Of course, it'll start in South Florida first tonight, move into Central Florida through the overnight, and into early tomorrow, head up into the northeastern part of the state after that. Okay, potential wind gusts. More guidance here. This, again, is just to give you guys an estimate. This is the Euro that I believe I put in here. Again, does a really good job of estimating winds based on current paths and forecasts in the atmosphere. So as you can see, as we head into the afternoon, this is gusts, by the way, not sustained winds. The winds could be in the neighborhood of 35 miles an hour across southeast Florida. And I buy that because we showed you that live camera in Delray. Those winds were easily 35, 40 miles an hour coming off the ocean. So I buy this. I think this product is doing a pretty good job. 15 to 20 on average across central Florida. And then as we head through tonight, of course, you can see the pink and the reds and the oranges. That's where the closest area of the center will be. And maybe through Monday, we'll be talking about winds 30 to 45 miles an hour across central Florida, South Florida, 15 to 25, and then northeast Florida, on average, about 15. Doesn't look like the panhandle will get too much of Isaias, which is good news. And then as we head into Monday, up into the Carolinas, we're talking anywhere 15 to 20 miles an hour early, and then again, depending on the track, that could go 20, 30, 40, 50. Look at that one in Norfolk, calling for 63 mile per hour winds on Tuesday at 7 p.m. So we'll tweak this and we'll move this product up the seaboard as we head into Monday of next week. Okay, modeling, again, our spaghetti plots. These have been consistent, by the way, the bulk of these running over the state of Florida. It's been really interesting to see this because the actual forecast goes with that secondary cluster that's over here that keeps it offshore. Whoops, hang on one second. That keeps it offshore. But some of these models, and these particular ones that I have in here, do a good job with hurricanes. And again, if you're looking at this stuff on social media, please look at sources that you trust, in particular National Weather Services. That you don't see these spaghetti plots often from the National Weather Service, but a trusted source, universities, meteorologists that are certified, that know how to read these plots and can tell you, hey, this model does a good job, this model doesn't do a good job. The ones that we show here at My Radar are accurate, up-to-date, very good modeling that have historically done well predicting hurricanes in the past. So that's the ones that we use. But sometimes people don't know what they're doing. They grab stuff off the internet and they throw it on their Twitter and they tweet it out, and it's products that the National Hurricane Center doesn't even use anymore. So make sure that you're trusting people that know what they're talking about when you're looking at this stuff. Okay. Arrival of the winds, as I mentioned, we're already seeing that across southeast Florida. That will continue today. And then as we zoom in here, just spilling up the interior and along the east side of the state as we head into tomorrow. And again, most of those core winds on the current path should stay off the coast of Florida, the high winds, but tropical storm force gusts are certainly in play. And again, I talked about this yesterday, a severe thunderstorm, and everyone has been in a severe thunderstorm. The winds have to be at least 58 miles an hour. So put that as a reference. If I'm calling for winds around 30 to 40, and you've been in a severe thunderstorm that has winds at 58, you can probably, pretty much tell, okay, this is going to be the difference. It's not going to be a huge deal. However, a severe thunderstorm only lasts maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes. And with a tropical event, we're talking about multiple hours. So it's not just going to be a short-lived event. That's when trees become more vulnerable, especially weakened root systems, or branches that are not used to being knocked around for multiple hours at a time can fall on power lines, and that's when we can get power outages. So remember, even though we're talking 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour in winds, we're talking about several hours, and that is time to create some susceptibility, vulnerability for power lines. Lawn furniture, I hope you guys have all that secured if you're in the state of Florida at the coast. And you can see the movement here of the rain from that product that I just showed. And speaking of rain, that also looking much better for the state of Florida. Bulk of the heavy rain should stay off the coast. However, there is that possibility there could be some isolated pockets of up to 5 to 7 inches of rain in that area shaded orange and red, and then 1 to 3 for that area shaded in green and the darker greens and the blues. So all of that is still, I think, feasible, and I definitely think it's going to be some localized flooding for some of these folks who are going to see some of these higher storms, some of these higher tropical rain bands. Power outages, this is a product that WSI, which is the graphic company that we use, I think it does a pretty good job. This particular one, I don't think it did a great job in terms of the risk of power outages. Obviously, I think there's a higher risk across Florida, but I showed it to you because the potential is there, of course, through the mid-Atlantic as we head into the next couple of days. So keep that in the back of your mind. I've been talking about that, but short-lived power outages, I certainly think are an issue, are certainly on the table as we head through today. So what's going to be steering Isaias away from Florida? Good old-fashioned cold front. That's usually the major player. Troughs of low pressure tend to act like these walls in the atmosphere and shunt or block tropical features from coming any further than what they are forecast to do. And then in this particular scenario, because the front kind of straddles the Atlantic seaboard, you kind of see this dance between Isaias and the front as it tries to move northward and just stays on this outer wall of this cold front or this trough and rakes up the seaboard. So that too will be a nuance or a slight forecast player that is going to take us a little bit of time to figure that all out. All right, let me look at some of these questions real quick while we are, before I take this feed down. Okay, let's see. Whoops, I just dropped something. Oh my goodness, hang on. Hopefully that didn't hurt anything. Did Nassau suffer much damage? Anna said on Facebook. We showed you the pictures, but I don't think there was. I talked to Wayne Neely, as I mentioned, who's the meteorologist that's been so great to provide us with the video and the pictures. He said there was moderate damage on some of the islands, but certainly not as bad as it could have been. Okay, Brian's asking, when will it turn? Last night it was heading in a direction of 315, which is west-northwest, and now it's heading more at 305, which is northwest. So it's expected to turn, Brian, in about 24 hours. So it's going to be looking like it's heading straight towards Florida through the next 24 hours, or from about 5 a.m. this morning. But it is expected to start to make that turn within these next 24 to 36 hours. So it's got time to turn. And again, that frontal boundary is going to kind of be the main mechanism. Let me check YouTube real quick and see if there's any questions over here. Usually we get some questions, and I like to try and answer them if we can. I have to put my readers on though when we do this. So I apologize. Okay, let's see. We got greetings from South Carolina. Let's see, where are we? What is the water temperature along the coast of Florida? Are they more than the water temperatures in the Bahamas? So that's a good question, and that is from Jimmy. So Jimmy, yes, the Gulf Stream, which is the warmest waters anywhere in the Atlantic Basin, and in one of it, I think it's actually the warmest in the world. I have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it is. The water temperatures can run anywhere from 85 to 86 in the Gulf Stream. That's about where it is now. So it's really warm. And again, that's just like the icing on the cake for a tropical feature that wants to get stronger. So it's definitely, I think there's definitely some wiggle room for some more intensification, and that's why I want you guys to be prepared. Hey, Sandy, thanks for joining us. She's one of our loyal and one of our longest viewers. We're so thankful that Sandy joins us, Sandy Rose. Let's see. So Sheldon's in the Bahamas. He's in Nassau. Nassau, from what I understand, did pretty well, and that's awesome. And I think that's all I see. So I think that's going to do it, you guys. So it's roughly 3:21 in the afternoon. And just again, some housekeeping notes. Meteorologist Stephanie Lauber will be doing another live update in a few hours. And you can look for that. And she'll do a whole new path, whole new information from the National Hurricane Center. We're going to also be putting up live cameras in South Florida on social media. So when you see those are just to get you guys what's going on across South Florida. So our partners Surfline have been so generous, offering up all these cameras across the U.S. And even in Puerto Rico, we used some of those cameras yesterday to show you guys how things are going live. So you'll see those throughout today, throughout tomorrow, and then we'll be doing this, as I mentioned, for several days next week as well. I think that's going to do it for me for now, though. Again, our time now is 3:21 Eastern Time. I hope you guys got some good info out of here. I hope you're ready to roll in Florida, and I hope the Southeast is ready, because it's coming your way next, and we'll continue to offer the very latest through the next several days. Okay, you guys, have yourselves a very fabulous and safe Saturday. I'll see you soon.